welcome back to Devils United for another preview, another day, another win for Manchester United. 2 games, 2 wins. We've all got to be happy about it. I've got my usual guests, Chloe and Andy, with me today. Chloe, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on again, Maisy. It's a real pleasure to be on.
Thank you for taking the time, and Andy, thank you for coming on again.
Yeah, it's great to be on. If I was a mobile phone right now, I'd be flashing red, and you'd have to charge me because I'm shattered after yesterday. But we can go into that for a little bit.
Yeah. A game we won 2-0. Lucia Garcia, she got her first goal of the season. Not a debut goal, but it was a goal. We'll start with you, Chloe, in terms of the goal, because when I seen it, it was what Lucia does best at. She likes to have that little bit of skill, go past the goalkeeper to make her fall in a kind of way, and then do it from an open net.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, unfortunately, I weren't able to make the game yesterday as I was in
Well, you
work.
look so good compared to me.
Thanks for that. But yeah, I didn't make the game due to work. But when I was watching it, the Garcia goal was as I expected in the way how she took on the defenders, how she obviously the ball from Letitia was fantastic. And then her taking on the defenders, and then obviously her shot and like how the keeper went down. It's the way I've seen her play for her old club. When I watched her play for Athletic Club, or as it's now called, Athletic Bilbao. She played in that kind of way, switching wings, having shots that just went in the opposite corner to the keeper and to close corners, and it was good to see her back to her best. And I don't think she's been like that. She wasn't like that for Spain in the Euros because again she was being played out of position quite a lot. But I think for me, Mark's playing her in the position that I think she's needed to play in. And yeah, she can come up. She goes into centre a bit, but that makes sense if you're crossing through, and we know Leslie can play on the wing and stuff, but she's always on the wing. She's never always up front. So for me, Lucia's goal was perfect. It was a remarkable goal, and hopefully it's many more to come. So yeah, it was a good goal, and I know we'll probably touch on the second goal as well in a few minutes. But yeah, Andy, what did you think of it while you were there?
We'll stick with the game first. I think it's great to see. I mean, the first thing that jumped out to me was just Honor being at another level again.
Yep.
It's kind of hard, really. It's like you can't really describe how great she is. She looks at it in a different way, and it's almost like when your normal is 5-star play. How would you stick out? In that respect. And obviously, as Chloe alluded to, there's a great link with Lucia Garcia. Majority of our attacks went through Honor and to Garcia during the game yesterday. If anything, it looked a little bit, we were behind the goal, but it looked a little bit like she was almost like a lone striker for a lot of it. Just the sort of way it sort of fell down. She's got that confidence. It's not an easy place to go, and we'll talk about my experiences in the game as well. But I think the pitch was quite good, but it still takes a lot to finish it the way she did. Obviously, as you say, you might touch more detail on Hannah's goal, but I think the great thing about Hannah's goal is it was a great strike, and she's a defender. But also, I suppose it gets that monkey off her back because obviously, unlike Jackie, she's now scored for United. So again, will that open up more fluid play? Will that make her more relaxed? Will that give her more opportunities? Will she now think, what, I will take a shot? Because I remember last month, 3 months ago, how long it will be going forward. I scored. So when you've got evidence in your head of actually being successful and scoring, it breeds obviously confidence and success. I think we look very good with the depth. Again, I think Skinner used a lot of subs again, which is great.
But my point, what I was going to touch on with Skinner, he didn't make him quick enough for me.
No, he didn't make him quick enough.
He made him the 79th minute free subs, and I was people who watch my watch along. I said about the 55th minute, Skinner needs to make his substitute in 5 minutes time now. We're 2-0 up. It's fine. Blah 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 blah. We can afford to make them subs. But then it came to the 70th minute. I was like, why this guy not made subs? Then it came to the 75th minute. I was like, why is this guy not made subs?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was a discussion on the coach actually about that, which always means that you were obviously in tune with what we could see on the field, on the sideline, and basically, the counter view to that was, well, we were winning, and about changing a winning formula. But one of the things that might not have got picked up on TV was because where we were, the tunnel, it was one of those old-fashioned stadiums where like the tunnel comes out almost like it's like a retractable cover that comes out, and they walk down the tunnel. So all the team had to walk directly underneath us to where the entrance was. And Tooney was really angry at the end of the first half. She was like this, like really frustrated. And Skinner actually put his arm around her and started talking to her on the way down to the tunnel. I don't know if that helped or not. But again, just little things you might not have seen on TV. I think Tooney's a fantastic player, a top quality player, but if we're not careful, we're going to burn her out, and we're not going to get the best from her. So we need to possibly think about alternatives in relation to that position, definitely for the weekend, as we'll touch on later in the pod about the Conti Cup. But that was a view. I mean, it was weird. My tweet at the end of the game was quite interesting because it was a game last season that I think we would have lost, because it was so many games that I felt like we were just all over them first half. We were almost like a cat playing with a mouse. We were literally in control, but then we didn't put it away until the first goal went in. But now suddenly we did, and we finished the game, and that's, I think, the most important thing. And the only interesting thing as well, because obviously we saw it, I saw it live, but what was your view on the offside goal? Because I appreciate it was the other one that they had but was disallowed. I appreciate it was FA player, but I'm assuming you guys didn't get to see much of what happened with the ref.
Do you want me to touch on it first, Maisy?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I saw it, I automatically thought it was offside from the way that our defence was and where she was. For me, it was an offside goal, and the way that all of our defence had their hands up, and it was like, yeah, it's offside. You could see it was clearly offside, and then it wasn't obviously given. It was given as a goal, and then it was then given as an offside because the ref went over to the linesman and was like, but that's never been done before. The ref going over to the linesman and saying, was that a goal? Was it offside? And then it was given offside. So it's like, this is where it needs VAR. This is what VAR is needed.
Or at least goal line technology.
Yeah, or goal line technology. But still, that wouldn't have counted as an offside if it was goal line technology. So for me, it was an offside goal, and I was surprised it was given in the first place.
Well, this was it, and that's why I thought it'd be interesting to see how it was framed on TV, because what actually happened was, I don't think there was a debate on whether it was offside or not. What happened is that guy, and it wasn't unusually for the WSL, a male linesman, as you said, that guy froze, basically. So she didn't actually give it when it went in. She looked over as we were screaming about it being offside, and he kind of panicked, his face was and then he started touching his ear, which I think was to kind of say, oh, there's a problem, I can't hear you. But I'm pretty sure, I'm no body language expert, but I'm pretty sure that he panicked and he wasn't sure. He couldn't say either way if it was a goal or an offside. And I think we all sort of were screaming, do your job. And then the ref went over, and I think what probably happened, we'll never know because obviously the refs aren't mic'd up in football. But I think what she said was it offside, or was it a goal rather? I didn't see it fully. and he or is it offside? And I think he probably went, I don't know. It could have been offside. And she's probably gone, well, if you don't know, you have to give it as off. If you can't say definitively it wasn't offside, you've got to, you know what I mean? The other way around. If you think it's offside, but you got, and that's why I think it was given. And it made me angry. I think I tweet while I was actually on the stands there, because it made me really angry, because I know we've discussed at length on many pods about the level of the refs, and to be honest, she had quite a good game. I think they are doing better with the woman in the middle, the actual referee in the middle. I don't think they're higher grade, but I think they're getting a bit more support. I mean, you were there. We were both there at the home game last weekend against Reading, and Mike Riley, the former head of the Premier League match officials, was there. I assume in some sort of consultancy or assessment stand. I don't think he's a United fan, put it that way. I don't think he was there for fun. And he was in the ground. So I think they are getting a lot more support and a lot more help. But I know that the assistant referees are a lot lower still, even than the referees. And it made me angry to the point where, as I said, I pulled myself away from the game a little bit when I tweeted it, because it shouldn't happen at that level. Nobody should freeze, because that's like basic training about a referee. You should be able to blow. You should be able to forget everything. And it might not become obvious on camera, but we were behind the goal and it was a full stand. But we also had another stand to the side. But the two other stands to the side where the liner was basically derelict. So it was nobody was there. So it was empty. So it wasn't like they had us behind his ear screaming at him. It was literally empty, so he could focus purely on the game. Right. And we just deserve better. I don't even think you need goal line technology, but credit where credit's due. The easy thing would have been, and we've all seen it multiple games last season, was the ref could have given the goal because the liner didn't flag. But I think the ref realised, because I'm sure they know to an extent when they're running down if it's offside, even if they're not in the right position to give it as a referee, that it was a bit dodgy. So she ran over, and I was really impressed to see that, especially. And again, I'll let you go in there, Chloe. I'm pontificating now because I'm knackered. It's on a badge. I noticed these little things. She didn't have the FIFA badge. She just had the WSL badge. So she's not even FIFA listed. And there's some right clowns that are FIFA listed. So she's really low level. So, fair play, to her, because she's not that senior.
Mm-hmm. Before we do touch on what Chloe's point is, just want to say hello to Ravi, Chris, Arsenal Vlogs, Luca, and Luca. Hope you're all well. Seeing Ravi's points as well, which I agreed with Haley, Ladd, Skinner, and Garcia and Zelen. But what do you want to touch on as well, Chloe?
It's just on what Andy was saying. The commentators did actually say about the linesman not knowing where to, if it was offside or not, and that's probably the reason why it was given as offside. So it was obviously, when we were watching it on FA play, the commentators did say it might be that the linesman just didn't have that quick enough time to put the flag up, and it should have just gone up. It should have just put it up anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before we do a vlog in terms of going on to our game at the weekend, I just wanted to pull up a Matt Skinner quote, which I'm sure everyone will be happy about. Matt Skinner about Lucia Garcia. She's wonderful. She attacks lines, just intensity to get beyond Sissoko, who is a very tough defender, and then take it round the goalkeeper, then finish. She's so nimble. She's unbelievable. I think she may potentially have a new admirer here. What are you thinking of that quote there, Chloe?
I think it is a well said quote. I think, to me, she did have, Sissoko is a very good defender. She is a French defender, and she does play with one of the best centre backs in the world in France. With obviously in the French national team with Wendy Renard. So I think she's learned a bit off that. But yeah, Lucia definitely did do well against her, and for me, just him saying she's just nimble and she's unbelievable. She is unbelievable. She's an unbelievable player, and for me, if she can do that and take it around the defender and take it around the keeper, then that's a true forward and a true winger for me. So it just shows how well she's adapting to the league already, and the style of play she plays is unbelievable for me. So I think that quote is definitely a very good quote from Mark Skinner, and just shows how much he believes in her, and how much he believes in the way she plays and the tactics she uses in terms of getting that goal.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of that quote as well, Andy? Because we've always said about Mark Skinner loving Katie Zellum, but I think there's a new player on the line now for Mark Skinner.
But he's obviously decided to go down to a younger model, hasn't he? No, I think, yeah. I think again, I think she's kind of maybe a little bit version like, May Letitia. Maybe a bit different because she was always going to start, but I think maybe he maybe didn't think that she'd start every week. Possibly that she might be a sort of starter a lot of the time, but sometimes on the bench. But she's proven that she's an absolute superstar, even at the young level that she's at. If anything, she's a walking, talking example against one of other Mark Skinner's favourite quotes against Villa Barisa, who goes when he talks about how you need to learn the league. Well, the girls never played WSL until this season, so clearly it's possible to just go in and ball like she's doing. But there's also another quote that I think I saw half of it because I saw it was stupid and stopped reading, about how he said to the girls, "Do you want to be the hunter or do you want to be the prey?" which I don't know if that got picked up. So yeah, maybe it's just like, I don't know. Maybe Mark Skinner is like the human form of why your English teacher said it was good to practice how to like identify, like, and sort of edit yourself, because there's a great quote there which obviously intensifies the fans and rightly so, gives a great sort of confidence boost, I'm sure, to Lucia. Look, the manager's saying such great things about her, but then he also still says wacky shit about prey and hunting and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, they came out second half and we scored 2 goals. So I mean, I didn't care if he did like a rain dance or like whatever. It worked. So he wants to talk about prey, hunters, and eagles and pigeons. I don't give a damn. He can do that if he wants, because obviously it worked very well.
Mm-hmm. Ravi's question about subs. I always say 65 to 70 minutes. Yeah. We need to make a substitute. Vincent, hey there to you. Thanks for coming in. Ravi said Garcia has the finesse to finish. Andy, I know you went to the game, and you've never been to that ground yourself before. The Chigwell Construction Stadium. Yeah. That in itself just does not sound good.
Yeah, I mean, I know we need what's his name, Rich, to be in the flag, because I know he likes my stadium reviews. But honestly, it's hilariously named. I think we should just start again. It needs construction. It needs nuking. The whole place needs nuking and restarting again. It is basically, it is a horrible place. I feel like I've just come back from Kiev. It's a horrible, horrible place. It took 4.5 hours to get down there. When we were driving down, when we were on the coach, and when the coach was pulling in, the stadium, in inverted commas, is in the middle of a housing estate, which is quite common with WSL. But there was no room for the coach to actually make its way into the stadium, so we had to go behind the stadium, past, well, put it this way, an estate that would have looked, that I'm sure, well, it's quite near London, actually, isn't it? So it's probably quite helpful for Rockstar Games to come up with new layouts for GTA 6. And they can just go down there with a camera, and they've just got their general layout of like a really rough area. So we just sort of like got parked up, and we had to walk through a park that I'll tell you now, and I'm just over 6 foot, I'm not doing a game there if it's dark. No way in hell am I doing that. And it was basically, it was really rough. So we go in there. The stadium itself is actually called It's Worse. It's worse. It's not. It's worse. It's known as the Victoria Road Stadium, apparently, before it was given the stupid name. And it's an old stadium. It actually was made in 1917. and trust me, it looks like they've not painted a brick since. So when we went there, it kind of had a bit of a hostile's the wrong word, because we like a bit of rivalry, but I don't know if it was men's international break or anything like that, which I know it was, but I don't know if that was the reason. But there's a thing that we maybe haven't touched on. I don't want to take the whole pod on this, but I'll just explain briefly that unlike the Prem, there is no requirement for the Football Association gives to the clubs to give away ends. It's purely their discretion. And like anything, if you're not made to do something and you're a business, you're not going to do it. Because if it costs you money, or it's more of a pain in the arse, or it just involves you like having to do some work, you get certain people in every company that would just go, nah, I can't be bothered. It's fine. But the thing was, and the issues that happened at that stadium was, you know, it is a deprived area, and it's a very rough. I felt a bit uncomfortable when I was there. Because we didn't have an away end, we had to make our own away end. Now, what does that mean in reality? Well, it means that there was about 50 United fans that were stood up in a block in a big stadium, a big stand rather, mixed in with some pretty rough-looking West Ham fans and some kids as well, you know. But basically, it basically looked like somebody from day release from prison taking their 4-year-old daughter to go watch the match, to be honest. And you know, and to be honest, they were irritated by us because we're really loud and we're there, and they haven't got that culture. To be fair, there was like one person who was like chanting like properly nice things throughout the whole game, trying to give it back to us, and we actually thanked her afterwards. She was a really nice girl.
I think I seen her on Twitter actually, because she posted a picture.
Yeah, she was a really, really nice girl, but everybody else was quiet. And now, obviously, you guys will know more from the men's side. There was a particular issue that I saw firsthand. Was in the London Stadium, apparently, they have loads of bubble machines, and they blow loads of bubbles all over the stadium. And it's because of the whole blowing bubbles thing, which, by the way, if anybody wants to win on a pub quiz, the reason why West Ham United sing the blowing bubbles song, which is really annoying, is that Upton Park, their previous ground, was very close to, back in the day, a soap factory. So it used to come across the pitch, and that's where it sort of came from. And a lot of the original players back in the day would have obviously been workers at the factory and such like. So anyway, they have like a pathetic version of the bubble machine at Dagenham and Redbridge's ground, which is what ground it actually is. And we saw that. Now, obviously, I don't really want to swear too much on here, but the men's chant that apparently United fans, I'm assuming other opposition fans, do to West Ham when they sing that is you can stick your bubbles up your common word for behind, shall we say. So we didn't do that, but we amended it to you can stick your bloody bubbles in the bin. So obviously what happened then was obviously there was a lot of people giving us looks, and particularly there was a bit of a like an unfortunate incident that happened where there was a guy directly in front of me, as I said, with his partner and what I later to find out was a 9-year-old girl, and she actually had a little bubble pack that was given by West Ham that was blowing the bubbles. So they assumed, this guy assumed, and this is why we need away ends, because I'll tell you, to a person, none of us would have been shouting that to a 9-year-old girl. It was purely a relationship to the you know, the overall bit that was going on the pitch. Mm-hmm. But basically, this girl burst into tears and was extremely upset. He shot up, jumped up, basically shouted at us in a very Cockney accent. I mean, a proper, like, almost comedy Bo Bell's accent, saying, you know, you're really entertaining. We like what you're doing, but she's just a little girl, for God's sake. She's 9 years old. She just likes bubbles. And yeah, that's fine. We were not. It was an accident because we didn't see her because she was to the down. But it's stuff like this that can cause problems. So this little girl clearly was upset, thought that a group of 50 adults were having a go at her. We all look like giants. and actually left after they moved, and I think left the stadium towards the end of the second half. But this is how bad things can happen, so we can get a bad reputation that we are things that we're not, because it looks like we were all bullying a 9-year-old girl, and we weren't. We were just doing what any fan would do in a football stadium, but it was aimed at, as I said, this little bubble machine. It was so bad, clearly, that they didn't realise there was anybody else blowing bubbles apart from the daughter. But it was like a little bubble machine. And also, I found out later on the way back that there were also some of the guys at the top of the stand who apparently, when we were started sort of like having a go at the ref and stuff like that, that they were getting a bit like, not so happy. And I'm not going to say who it was, but one of the people who is very experienced, who travelled with us, was saying, who's been home and away from Man United men, places that he's actually been to Galatasaray. So, anyone who's been there and got out alive, he's clearly very good at reading people and that kind of thing. And he said he felt he was going to kick off. At one point, he thought that someone was going to smack somebody. And if that would, and I've never been in a women's game where that could have happened. So the FA needs to get their head out their arse, and segregation might have originally come in because of historical problems in the men's game, as almost like a punishment. You can't be trusted to be together, so we're going to put you apart. But it's actually a safety measure for misunderstandings not to happen like that, because clearly, what happened was a mistake by accident. We would, but there was also a view within the group that, well, don't sit your kid next to away fans. But then, if there's no designated away section, if when say you haven't been in the ground before, you might go with your tickets, you go through the gate, and they might say, "All right, where are we standing then? Where's our?" If it was on reserve, where are we standing? You'd probably expect to say, "Well, United fans or Arsenal, whoever the team is, are over there, and you're over here," kind of thing. Or if you're not wearing a kit, they might say, "Are you a United fan or are you a West Ham fan?" And the thing is that makes me angry is, and I just thought I'd mention it because I knew it wouldn't have been picked up in the match, is that if that had kicked off, it wouldn't have been our fault. We wouldn't have been blameless because at the end of the day, it was not a nice chant. But again, it's football, and a lot of the progress that we've done, getting the rivalry, things that Rachel Barfinis has said about the rivalry within the groups, in a healthy, safe way, the backlash would be like that, and you'd end up back to a situation where we all have to sit down, shut up, and not say a word, and the game will die. So now I've told you what happened. I'll be interested on both of your guys' views on it. But I really think now it is important that every single game, if it's not an away end, we're just gonna have to tweet WSL, Barclays WSL, and make it obvious that we need an away end, because I felt really bad that 9-year-old started crying. I'm not in the job to go and shout at children, but I wasn't. I was just making a generic, almost pantomime chant about something that West Ham fans do, and something that if you're a West Ham's men's fan, you should know, because apparently I've never been. You might be able to comment, Maisy, because you watch the Prem. It's like unmissable at the London Stadium. They just flood the place with bubbles.
Yeah. It is like that. Ravi's right, though. The FA does need to look into that. And you look at Leicester away, which is going to be on the 23rd. That doesn't have an away end either. I tweeted this on Twitter. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. People want the game to grow. How can the game grow when you don't have a way? Even if you have a block or if you have something, just an away section for the away fans to be in. Because everywhere you go, in terms of men's grounds, you will see an away section. There's always going to be one, even if it is a tiny part of the stadium. There's still an away section. And I've seen rival fan bases saying, "Well, where's your away section at LSV?"
Yeah.
And I say, well, that gets sorted by your supporters group.
Yeah.
And it's your club that does not give us the away stand. or doesn't give us the away block. And I think perhaps maybe the WSL needs to make it mandatory, even if they give like 5 rows for away stand.
And then we'd all know where we were. And what about you, Chloe?
I just think it, like, if you think of the men's game always has an away end. Every stadium go to has an away end. So for me, I don't get why in the women's game we don't have an away end, and it has to be down to the supporters clubs of each team to message the other team who we're playing to say, we want an away end, just give us an away end. And if they don't, the supporters club go, right, we're basing ourselves in this block, so if you want to be part of this block, we're going here. And they'll tweet it out, and then they'll make sure that the other team sees that we're putting it in that block. But for me, I don't get why FA hasn't just said, right, there's going to be away ends at every game, because it's needed. It's like Maisy did say, it's to grow the game. You want that rivalry. And for me, I think if we had an away end for both City and Liverpool, who are two of our biggest rivals, because obviously they're our closest rivals, I think for me, that atmosphere for both of them games, home and away, will be insane. It will. Do
you remember when both home and away for City? At home, we was in the most dirtiest stand going, but we still had an away stand. Yeah. Even when City came to LSV, they had behind the goal as their stands. They had quite a few seats as well. So it can be done. Yeah. It's just, do they want to do it?
Well, apparently as well, sorry, I was jumping from a bit more for Chloe there. Apparently as well, there is conversations between the supporters clubs, and there are a number of supporters clubs who don't want them. That's the problem as well, because they see it as, if you look at Chloe's face, it's true, I agree, who see it as not how women's football is. Well, it is, because we're here. So unless you want a bizarre situation where only us get away ends and we get treated almost like the big show in WWE, oh God, there's United fans coming along. And that gives us a bad rep, again, unnerving. But I just wanted, again, your view about how easy that could have gone wrong on Sunday. And as I said, a little girl got upset by accident. And that wouldn't have happened if it was away end, because she would have been further away from where we were. And her dad would have gone, they're away fans, dear. It's, it's like, do you remember the pantomime? It's, you just go boo, you would have been able to explain it, but she's right in front of us and we're standing and we're shouting. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Honestly, I do. Hey there, Reese. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Yeah.
But anyway, it's a bit of a downer there, but I just, it's one of them where I just think anyone who, even if you don't get to go to grounds, maybe Maisy can put a link out later for what the Barclays WSL Twitter page is. And if you watch and see that we don't get an away end, just tweet them. United fan, why haven't we got away ends? And, obviously...
we did make a big uproar about it with Leicester.
Yeah, I know. Keep it going is what I'm saying. And, like with Arsenal, obviously, we all tweeted Ian Wright and it actually worked. So I just, anything like that, we want an away end. Or maybe say, I don't want naming people's mouths, but like, if you won't go because there's no away end, just say, look, I'm more likely to go if there's an away end. And hopefully, if they start seeing tweets like that, it might help.
Even though you want to support the club, could the only way is by boycotting away games?
I don't think we're there yet, because we can still make it work. But what I think makes it difficult is, without giving any much away, is there's a lot of soft power has to go on when there's no away section. So there's leaders in the sort of supporters club that have to try and, as I said, on their own time, they're not paid for it. Email so-and-so, ring so-and-so, they come back to you. There has to be an element of planning. There has to be an element of because where we all stood, we all had assigned seats, but they were dotted all over the stadium. So we made our group of 50 or whatever it was, our little block. But then you had to wait for 20 minutes while we're doing our Bring On United and trying to get the atmosphere going. People are going up there and you have to go, well, I know we're in your seat kind of thing, it just winds people up. Do you know what I mean? It just winds people up because they'll sit somewhere else fine, but but it's just adding all the extra bits. And as I said, it could have gone a bit nasty with other things that happened as well. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you might not get it if you don't go to games or are unable to go to games, but you'll hear it on TV, the difference when we have an away end.
Hey there, Donny. Thanks for coming in. Completely agree. A good win against a solid team. Chloe, before, do you want to touch on anything before we move on to the game very quickly?
Yeah, I'll just touch on like what Andy was saying. I think the away ends are definitely needed because you want that atmosphere to be building up. And yeah, some clubs don't want away ends, but for me, if you don't want away ends, what's the point of having an atmosphere in the women's game? What's the point of it growing? And for me, if you want the atmosphere to grow, if you want the women's game to grow, build it. Like, give an away end, even if it's just a small section. And I get that some teams at some of the grounds you can't have an away section. You have to mix in with them fans, and that's fair enough. But at least, like for example, Everton at Walton Hall Park, like we pick one end of the goal and Everton have the rest, and that's for us. That's what happens, and we pick that side because we can hang the flags up and do bits like that. But for me, if we can sort it out at that stadium, and we're always at that point in every United game we are away at Everton. What doesn't surprise me is that because we've got the chants, we've got the songs. Why don't other teams want that atmosphere to be brought? And for me as well, like at LSV, I don't see many fans from other teams coming to us. I don't see it. And is that because there's not an away end? Because we wouldn't see that because obviously we've got a season ticket. We've already bought our ticket. But is that because it's not being given to that other team? Or is it because it's a long distance, it's not put coaches on that kind of style? Or is it because that they just don't want to come down and stuff like that? What's your, like, I know just before we touch on the game on Saturday, what's your opinions on the away ends at LSV?
Again, I got a bit of inside knowledge on this, speaking to a few people yesterday, but apparently it's kind of being used a bit against us. So, for example, there's certain teams where there's no away support full stop. And then when we request an away end, they might say, well, you didn't give us one. And it's like, and they have actually had said that. And it's like, well, what do you want us to do? Shame your fans and just like have a little square that's empty and you just point it on TV? See that bit at the top right-hand side? That's where a certain club's fans should be, but they're not here. Do you want to be doing that? But no, I think it is important that we have a gap. And again, I mean, they weren't expecting it. So yesterday we had a full mixed stand, and there I counted 5 stewards, and there was just over 2,000 people there. So again, I think if you look at some of the places that we've gone to, non-men's stadiums, they have a few more than that, and they were a little bit. They were all a little bit older, and one of them, who was clearly like the head steward, was looking at us like we were his worst nightmare, but not in a nasty way. It was kind of like, oh God, really? Like, I wasn't expecting this kind of. So we were just allowed to stand and do what we want, but like, yeah, it was. I think we need. I think there's 2 ways you could do it. They could mandate it and just give us a section, and then announce. Like I've seen it occasionally on some cup games, Maisy, that you might say the remaining allowance has gone back to the home club, so then you can see that they've opened up a bit more or something like that. But I think they should also. I know I'm jumping on another topic here, but they've got to do it. They've just got to do it. But like a ticket resale platform, just another topic from the weekend. It's embarrassing to say there's 51,000 sold and there's -6 of that not turned up. If you don't want to jack the prices up because that's going to price people out of the game, do a WSL resale platform. You could partner with an existing company very, very easily, and sell for face value, because again, apparently certain people are saying online for the North London derby that they were not going to be able to arrive because of work or whatever, and they were actually just you might have seen it on social media. People were saying, "I've got 2 tickets for Arsenal. Do you want to go? I've got 2 tickets for this," and people are having to do it like independently, and that might help with some of the attendances as well.
I agree with that completely. I do agree. Thank you, Paul, as well, for the super chat for £1.79. It really means a lot. I'm £1.79 more towards buying Manchester United. I'm still gonna make that joke.
I'll make another joke as well. It's funny because one of the things that we chanted was, "How much did you pay the ref?" And the woman, who was actually really nice, turned around and shouted back to us, "We're skint, so we couldn't have paid him." We just got a laugh. Saying, "Well, we are as well." It was great. She turned around, and she's right at the bottom, and she turned around and she went like that. I said, "We're skint, so we didn't pay the ref, okay?"
That's a fan that won.
So yeah, if you might have seen her on social media, give us some love. She was a big credit to West Ham.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Thank you for the £1.79. It means a lot. And hey there, I like coffee. Yeah, send it West Ham for the refs. Hey there, I like coffee. Hey there, Niall. Sean Maguire in the starting 11. Not surprised. Honestly, I'm not watching the games, so I'll answer your questions, Ravi, during what we're talking about in terms of Aston Villa. We will touch on that. So we'll go on to Aston Villa now. I'm expecting squad rotation with it being a Conti Cup. I know Ravi did ask about Katie Zelland, but she actually didn't start hardly for our group stages of the Conti Cup last year. It was actually Mannion who was the vice captain, but Mannion's injured. So we may potentially have another captain coming ahead. I have a small feeling, I don't know about yous, that it could be Millie Turner, who could be the next captain for Man United. But Ander, squad rotation, what captain do you think?
Well, it's funny because that's what I've heard as well. That it is Millie Turner that would be the kid. I know she's officially a vice. I know they do that. But yeah, I think it's got to be. I mean, to be honest, it's funny because we've had a great first couple of games, and there's a lot. And I wouldn't say there's a big drop off. I mean, there's a drop off obviously between our starting 11 and our subs. A lot of people, which might surprise a few others, including me, because in the past I've said a few things. A lot of people said some very nice things about Jade Moore yesterday and the way that she played. I think she's pretty much guaranteed to start against Villa. Zella may start. I'll be honest, because there's a kind of discussion that went on about those that haven't got internationals. So, like, obviously, they want to keep their fitness, but like, obviously, there's that. So you might have a few, or maybe not start, but maybe actually come on as a sub, as planned sub. So, like, obviously, it's sad to say that Honor obviously will fall in that category now, because, as will Lucia Garcia, because of the issues that are going on in Spain at the moment. But yeah, to start, I'd say Moore will start. I think Maria Torres-Dottier, remember her? I think she might start.
Tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me more. But also, I think, just basically looking at the bench yesterday, I'm not sure if Stanley was injured or not in the squad for design, but if she's fit, she might start. Nikita Paris for Garcia, probably. I think Galton may play because she's not international. Tooney's got to have a rest. So, again, Rusio and Tooney on the bench, possibly with a design that we won't play them full stop. Like, even if we're losing, I reckon we won't play them. And then Leon as well will be on, because she seems to have tapered off a bit. She was on fire for it's only been 2 games, I appreciate. She was on fire for Canada. So maybe if I was Skinner, I'd want to get her in, get her scoring, get her feeling it a bit more. I know she'll have an international, but, I'd want to get some of that form back a little bit. And Martha Thomas again yesterday was all right. But again, we kind of want to score in a bit. So I think she might be starting up front. What about you guys, Maisy and Chloe?
I'll go with Chloe first.
I can definitely see some changes. Obviously, we're going to know internationals tomorrow, who's going to be going to to England and other teams on obviously from tomorrow onwards. But for me, I think, like you said, Andy, I think Jade Moore will start. I'm hoping Phil de Boris is going to start. I am hoping that. Because again, game time, if she can get game time, is it more likely that she will get back into the Norway squad?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Same with Torres Dottir. If she plays, will that get her back into the squad?
Tunkara.
So, Tunkara, again, for me, this is where we've got that depth now. We have got the two defenders like Torres Dottir and Tunkara to start, give Millie Turner a rest, because she's played 90 minutes and was it 75 in the first match, or was it 90 again in the first match against Reading? She's played quite a lot, so give her a rest, bring her on in the second half. So again, them two options are brilliant, like Torres Dottir and Tunkara. Wing, like our left back and right back, we've got that place of we can play Letitia on one wing, but who do we play on another wing? We've not got any more backups for the wingers, for the full backs. Yeah. So are we going to play? We can play Hannah Blundell because she'll be one that I do wish she'll be in the Lionesses. I do wish, but I can't see it happening. And then with obviously Honor and Lucia, with what's gone on, I know they've said that they've not said that they don't want to not be included in the squad. They've not said that. But what's going to happen? Will he still play him? I don't know. But it's one of them that I think Honor or Hannah will play, and Letitia might play on one of the fullbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, in midfield, I'm hoping that Moore and Borisa will play. And then, obviously, like Andy said, Leah Galton, I think she might start. But I also think that if Leon and Nikita Paris both start, their goals can get tallied up. They can shoot. They can have that chance. They can have that full 90 instead of coming on for 5, 10, 15 minutes of a game. And then for me up front, I would play Martha Thomas. I would. And the only worry I have is in net. I
agree.
I think for me, I think we need to give Mary a rest, because I think she's going to play against USA at Wembley a week on Friday. So I'd give, I think like we did in the Conti Cup last year anyway, we gave that to Sophie Bagler. So I think if he can stick to that, then that's good. It gives Sophie game time.
It's important.
Captain for me, I was told it was Hayley Ladd that was vice captain. But the player on the pitch, who's obviously I feel like will have more experience, is Jade. She's been captain for Reading. She was captain for Notts County. But either her or Hannah Blundell captain, if it's not going to be the way.
If Jade Moore's given captain, there's an element of our fan base that will just lose their proverbial. But that's quite funny. Not me, by the way. I'm just laughing at the idea. But I agree, it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's an interesting point. But yeah, I think, is it 2 vice captains? Because I'm thinking about Bar's the only one where I know in the detail. They have a captain and a few vice, don't they? So it might be a couple of vices that they can pick from.
Yeah, Barca have 5, with Alexa being the first. So I think there's Katie. I was told it was Katie Mannion. I was told it was Katie Ladd, Mannion, Miller, and then I think it might have been Tuna. I don't know, but I know it was definitely Ladd and Mannion for them 3.
Just want to say thank you to Reese for the £2 super chat. You've helped the West Ham refs now, so thank you very much for that, and thank you for the lovely comment. In terms of rotation, I think we're all thinking he will rotate properly. He did do it in the Conti Cup last year, so I am expecting the same.
I mean, the elephant in the room is Sophie Bagley, because the main issue that I have with it is something that she can't change. She's too short. she's finished growing.
She's the only backup goalkeeper we've
She's
got,
the only
unless we bring
Exactly.
Middleton Patel from the
No.
academy.
Yeah, no, she's too young. No, I agree.
Exactly.
And Eleni, and obviously there's a judgment call that went there, and to be honest, it's probably doable because where she got found out, where she did look like a girl against women, was that semi-final, which is etched in my brain at the Conti Cup.
It was the set pieces in the corners what really cost her.
Looking up at Pernell Harder, who looked fully grown, ready to sort her out. But maybe it might be an amended version, which is a bit tight on Sophie, but maybe an amended version of last season where Sophie will play the group stages and maybe even the quarters. But if we get a Chelsea away again or an Arsenal away again like that, maybe then they'll bring Mary in. But I do think, as a side point, which would be out of scope of this pod probably, but possibly she's okay as a backup, but she might be a candidate to be moved on in January, or not January, a bit too soon, next season, and maybe Rambo with one more season as a number one somewhere might then be deemed.
But then we've only got one goalkeeper, so we'd have to get a new goalkeeper. And if you want me to be honest, I'm not overly convinced of Rambo.
No. Yeah,
what I've watched of her, I think she needs more than one more season to be a backup for Manchester United.
It's the opposite problem. There's a thing that she can't change. Even she's tall, but then there's other skill issues. Bagley is very skilled, but she's short, very short. So it's one of those.
I'd rather have short and skilled than tall and sloppy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and I think as well. I think Ramsey's not playing for Everton. She was taken in to be that second goalkeeper.
Right.
Sandy McCaver being given to City because their now new goalkeeper is number one, whereas Emily Ramsey was taken in to be backup. So for me, she's not playing like she did when she was at Birmingham. She's not that first team player.
Right. Yeah.
For me, she's either gonna go back out on loan, or she's gonna leave, and we're gonna have to get a new keeper because at the end of this year, at the end of this season, Mary Earps' contract's up, Sophie Bagley's contract's up, Emily Ramsey's contract's up. All three of our goalkeepers' contracts are up, and I can see Mary staying. I can see Sophie staying if she's getting that game time in cups. It worries me of what we're going to do about Emily Ramsey because if she's not getting game time on loan, what's going to make her think that she's going to get game time at United with Mary and Ramsey? For me, she's better off being at a team like Birmingham, for instance, where she is going to get played.
I think we should recall her. She didn't get used enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think if she's not being used, if she's not playing, then we should recall her for that third.
Can I ask, in terms of sorry to interrupt, Chloe, in terms of loanees, could we loan two players to the same club in the WSL, or can we still only do one per team?
I thought it was two. I thought you could
couldn't we do Rambo at Leicester? Because I'm sure they need a defender and a goalkeeper. They need to sort out that defence massively. So I think they'd happily play her.
Yeah, I exactly agree. I think Leicester, with the current league, I think Leicester is one of the teams that she could be good at. She would be good at. So if we were to recall her, and then in January we go, right, Emily, you're going to go back out, but we've got you a better team that can actually play you, then Leicester might be that one. But I'm hoping that when it comes to Conti Cup for Everton, that she's going to get played, and that's her. Like we do with Sophie Bagley, the cup competition is hers, and if that's what it is, I'm happy with that. At least she is playing. But if she's just going to be sat on the bench in cup games, in league games, then what is the point of having her?
What about my suggestion though? So I know it's really bad for her, but if she's the end of her contract, United might want to do this. We're in the semi-final. It's January. We're playing against one of the top three teams. You're the manager of Man United. Do you put Mary Earps in, or do you put Bagley in?
I would. For me, I stick to who you've played throughout competitions, because at the end of the day, you're not going to play Bagley in the league when that's Mary Earps's. So for me, I would stick to playing I would stick to playing in, especially in the Conti Cup. I would stick to playing Bagley. In the FA Cup, I would switch to Marriott.
What, early from start, from like the right start, or later on in the tournament for the FA Cup?
FA Cup, I'll do quarters.
Right.
For me, though, it depends on who we play against. If we go to play in Chelsea, that's when I think Sophie Bagley needs to get dropped. I don't think she could play against the likes of Sam Kerr, Frank Kirby, Pennell Harder. I don't think she'll be able to manage it. And I personally don't think Mark Skinner will risk it. And to Ravi's question, we don't know who he's going to prioritise because we haven't seen him play a Conti Cup game yet this season. So we wouldn't really have a clue. But I put my predicted lineup of who I think could be it. So if you wanted to see that. So here's my predicted lineup anyway. I've got for Bagley in goal. I've kept on for staying her place. Tunkara to start, alongside Millie Turner being a captain. I put Hannah Blundell to be dropped for May Letizia on the wings. Jade Moore and Hayley Ladd in the pivot. Just because I think we need that extra bit of defence because they've got Hanson, Alicia, and Rachel Daly playing up front, so we need that tiny bit more defence. With especially, I'm not saying Tunkara's bad, but she hasn't had any minutes yet for United, so she may be a bit rusty yet. Leon's on the left, Paris on the right, Borisa in the middle, Thomas up front. What are you both thinking of that? I'll go with you, Chloe, with first of all.
I think for me, that's a very good lineup. I think that would be mine. Like you said, having a much more defensive midfielder in terms of Moore and Ladd, and then it being a lot more attacking because you've got Leon and Paris who are very attacking wingers, with Borisa in mid and with Thomas up front. I think it is a very good squad and lineup for me. So yeah, I would probably agree with you on that one, Maisy.
What are you thinking for that lineup as well, Andy?
Yeah, I think it's very strong. I think it's weird to see Honor in a Conti Cup without her, with her pain. So, but I agree with the decision. By the way, it's just funny because if the thing in Spain wasn't happening, then it would look like, well, she's in the Conti Cup because she's not playing well. But it's good to have her in there. I think Moore and Ladd's a shout. Borisa is so short of confidence. It's both ways. It could be a great game to get confidence back. And she'll be looking really good, and she'll have a break. Obviously, she's not been included, neither has Maria, for the recent Norway squad that was announced today. But she's that shattered with confidence. Is she gonna play as good as we need to see? But it's Villa's baby, so we could probably be all right with that. And yeah, it'd be good with Martha Thomas as well, and good for Paris. Quick question to throw back to both of you as well is in the WSL, unlike the men's, they're pretty chilled about people that are on loan playing against you. Do you think Kirsty Hansen will play? And I think I might have just nicked somebody's question. I didn't mean to do that. I was just guessing. And if so, and the second question is, do you think that that she should be allowed to play against us?
Yes, I think so, because Rambo did play against us last season in the WSL. So we can't change one rule for the WSL and change one rule for the Conti Cup for another player.
Yeah, I think, you did nick my question, Andy. Thanks for that, but it's all right. At least it was asked.
But it wasn't set up. I just I didn't realise. It's not like you said it. Anyway.
It's all right, don't worry. For me, I can see it. I can see her playing. I can see Hansen playing. But I do know, or I have heard, that the club have to ask the parent club if it's acceptable to play them. And I think when it was Rambo playing for Birmingham, I think it was because obviously it was their number one keeper. And at the end of the day,
Birmingham was in the mud anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, having a keeper play that you've got on loan against you is good because they're getting that experience. But I think if you're playing a midfielder or you're playing an outfield player, I don't think it depends on how they feel, how the parent club would feel for them to be playing against you. So obviously it'll be one of them that it's either going to have been decided when Hansen went over to Villa and it's decided then, or it gets decided a couple of days before the game where it's like, are we all right to play Hansen today because we've not got a player that can start, or can we at least have her on the bench? So we're all going to find out that on Saturday whether she plays or not. But for me, if she plays, it's going to be good because it's going to have that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. In terms of key players from the rotated side, I have Pitt. I would also say Lyon and Paris is another two key players because it's their starting debut, so they're gonna want to make an impression. I think it's Jade Moore's starting debut. I don't think she started yet for us, so that'll be her starting debut. She started in January, but I must be honest, I was very impressed with Jade Moore when she has come off the bench. Because as I mentioned, she offers a bit more, even though she's a CDM, she offers more of a creative CDM. She reminds me a bit more of a Kira Walsh type of CDM than a Hayley Ladd type of CDM, which is easily to compete in the long run. But before we do wrap up, we do, of course, have one more point is we'll be playing against a Euro 2022 champion today, even though we've on Saturday, even though we've got 3 Euro 2022 champions ourselves, Rachel Taylor, one of the most versatile players in the WSL. It's going to be a tough one playing against her, won't it, Ander?
It will. And I think it was one of probably the biggest surprises of the summer that she went to Villa.
Had her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone would have done. But, in a way, she's done perfect because she's always going to play. She can choose what games in a way because Carla's not going to not play her ever, really. Will she play in the Conti Cup, though, is an interesting question. That's their strongest. It's their strongest now striker. So it'd be interesting to see, first of all, Carla Ward, side point, one of the most, well, I was going to say one of the best managers of WSL that I haven't really got much to base that on, but I think she, but I'll try and get not too excited. I think it's because I'd like her as a possible alternative to Mark Skinner, but I think she is a really strong manager. When she managed for Sheffield United, it wasn't even a full-time job, and she did it part-time. Now, if you think of certain managers,
she saved Birmingham from relegation with just 11 players.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if that was full-time. She might have just gone full-time when that happened. That was like maybe her first full-time managerial role. She's used to working in really, really little resources. She's brought over one of the top players in the NWSL to WSL so she can bring players and get people to buy into her philosophy. She's developing into a great manager. And if the stars align, if there is a vacancy, maybe when she gets a bit more experienced, I think she will end up at Man United or another top 3 club. Hopefully not. Our nightmare for people who like her, because Gareth Taylor's abysmal, is that she might end up managing City, and that would be
apparently Taylor out right now.
Well, exactly. So it might end up managing City. But the other thing that's fantastic about her is obviously she brings on a lot of young players for Aston Villa. And I'm thinking about, just to sort of square the bit about the goalies. We have potentially a very, very good goalkeeper in Sophie Middleton-Patel, but she's obviously very, very young and very early in her development. But I think about Carrie Jones because she's also been called up, not played obviously because it's goalkeeper, but she's been called up to the Wales squad, the senior Wales squad, a couple of times now. So if we manage her correctly, for her to be at that level already, she possibly could be eventually, if you're talking 3 or 4 seasons, she could be Mary Earps' replacement already in-house. And I think to an extent, and maybe this is why we're holding on to Rambo too much or too long possibly, is that to keep the faith with our academy, I think the girls need to see somebody who makes it through and stays in the first team. Whether or not I think that will eventually happen with an outfield player, But I think goalkeeper, obviously, if that could happen, would be great. But again, it's a difficult team. And if you look at Mary's career, she's been through a lot of she's been to a lot of teams, because to an extent, younger goalkeepers have to do that to get the experience.
Definitely. Ravi did say about Daly going Villa because she'd get more game time, but I don't think that's overly true because she was an instant starter at Houston Dash, if I'm not mistaken, Chloe.
Yeah, she was an instant starter for yeah, she did play. She did play at the back a lot in defence, and yeah, her main position is up front, and that's probably what he's referring to in terms of playing in that position. But
she plays behind though for England, and she's played in the middle for England before as well.
Yeah, exactly. She's, like you said before, Maisy, she's very versatile for me, mate. Daly, she is, and she can play anywhere. And that, for me, that's where Carly Ward has this power. And if someone gets sent, if a defender gets sent off, and Rachel Daly's still on the pitch, Rachel Daly can go, right, I'll go back, because she's played in that position. And for me, I can see. I don't know if I can see her starting, like Andy said, but I can see her being on the bench and her being called up in the match, because at the end of the day, she's their best player. She's she is their top striker. And if that means that she has to come on in defence, I think she will do, especially to get that experience of the Conti Cup. I think she will. So for me, I would like Rachel Daly to play. I would. But can I see her starting? I don't know. I think Carla Ward is a very good manager. And just touching on what Andy said about Carla Ward, I think for me, she's a manager that has progressed so much, and that she started off in the WSL anyway. She started off at Birmingham. She saved them, and then she went to Aston Villa. She's got the players she's wanted. She's improved them as a team, and I can see her going to a top team. Like I would hope it would be us. I would hope, but I think if she got asked to go and manage Brighton or Reading or even Everton and Liverpool, I think that might be a big step. And City, like we know, obviously they've not had the best start to the league this year, and I think the manager is potentially nearly out. I think if they do lose the next league match, I think he could potentially be going out. I think that could happen. And yeah, I've seen on Twitter, I've seen that, or I've heard from people that they wouldn't mind Carly Ward being their manager because of how good she is and how versatile she is with players. But I think she would do a lot more at Villa for now than she would do at any other club.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And Rachel Daly is averaging out a goal every 2 games at Houston Dash. So it shows that she was very important for that team, and she was there for about 5-6 years. But yeah, we'll do our score predictions, then we'll leave it. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Andy, for both coming on. It's been a great show, as always. Andy, would you like to say your score prediction, and would you also like to shout out your socials?
Yeah, obviously, thanks for having us on. Maisy, as always, I really needed that today as well. When I get some sleep at some point tonight, it's been a long day yesterday. I'm thinking 4-0. I think possibly it won't go any more than that, because there'll be an element of game management, and because we'll be getting new people in that haven't played as well. But I do hopefully I want to sort of see Mark Skinner's best Serena Wegman impression. I want to have our foot on their necks all the way through the 90 minutes. I don't really want this kind of we'll just play around until 1 or 2-0 up, because that's how we end up having problems. And, obviously at the beginning of the pod, you can just see it poking through our screens there. You can see the Conti Cup trophy. And it's not the best trophy in the world, but I really want that bloody trophy. I think we've progressed over the top of where that is, and we won it this season. So 4-0, start a game, 4-0. and hopefully a good performance going into the national break.
Hopefully, no penalty shootout like Leicester last year. Sorry to break it to you again.
Yeah, no COVID either, because I caught COVID in the same bloody stadium in April. So if I catch COVID this time, I'm clearly got a problem with Midlands COVID. I obviously need a specific vaccine for the Birmingham COVID strain.
Chloe, thank you for coming on as well. It's been a great show as well. Would you like to shout out your socials and your score prediction?
Oh yeah, I forgot my socials in it there, and AJ_87. There you go. Chloe, go on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Maisy. It's been a pleasure to be on. Fantastic podcast as usual. And I'll do my socials first. My social is Chloe Riley 14 on Twitter. I think for me, the score prediction might be a bit tighter than it might be, or that we want it to be. So I think for me, it's going to be 3-1 United with a Rachel Daly goal for Villa.
I had the exact same scoreline as Chloe. I had a 3-1 as well. So I'll stick with the 3-1 too. So 3-1 for me. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Andy, for both coming on, and thank you as well for Paul and Reese for the super chats. I'll be next live. It will be on Thursday. I'll be doing my Derby Day preview with a Manchester City fan. And then I'll have another stream on this week. It is going to be a different stream than usual, so I've not scheduled it in yet. So go and check that out. Hit that like and subscribe button as well if you're new. And also go and check out Andy and Chloe's socials as well. But until then, take care. Bye-bye for now.